All right, Jaden. So our learning target today is going to be that I can divide a 3-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor, and I can divide a 4-digit dividend with a 1-digit divisor. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. And like I told you before, I'm going to go over a problem, and I'm going to go over the partial quotient strategy. And then I'm going to go over 2 problems, and then we're going to go over the 3rd problem together, okay? All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you. Can you see that? Can you see the blank piece of paper? Can you see that, Jaden?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so our first problem that we're going to go over is going to be 763 divided by 5. 763 divided by 5. And remember, last week we talked about that first number in our division problem. We call that the dividend. Our second number is our divisor. And our answer is going to be called our quotient. Okay, I'll write those down for you, just so you remember. Our answer is our quotient. So you have a dividend divided by the divisor equals our quotient. So, and the strategy that works best for most kids, okay, it might, again, you might find another strategy that might work out better for you, but this one seems to be the most popular as far as understandability for the kids. So when we make the division symbol, or some kids call that a house, okay, we put the dividend inside, we put the divisor on the outside, and our quotient goes on top, okay? So again, just watch, Jaden. I don't want you writing this down on a piece of paper, just watch. Okay, so to give us a little, kind of like a little strategy, over to the right, I'm gonna write times 10, times 100, or times 1,000. And that's gonna I'm trying to make groups of 5. How many groups of 5 can I make in 763? Because when we divide, it's all about equal groups. So in this case, if I multiply 5 times 1,000, that would equal 5,000, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And I can't take 5,000 from 763, can I? So I'm gonna cross out my thousands because I can't do 1,000. But I'm gonna try 100. So if I do 5 times 100, how much would that equal? 5 times 100. If I have 5 groups of 100, that means 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100 equals what?
$300?
Now I have 5 of them. 5 of them. 5 groups of 100.
500?
500. So I can go ahead and subtract 500 from 763 because this number is smaller than that. All right?
Okay.
So now I can go ahead. Hold on, let me see if Israel's going to try to get back on. Maybe he got his volume working. So hold on one second, okay, Jaden? Thanks for being patient. Israel, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. All right, thank you. Is that your sister helping you out?
Yeah.
All right, good job, sister. Okay. All right, Israel. What we started with is our learning target today is dividing a 3-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor and a 4-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor, okay? And we did a little of that last week. So today we're going to use the partial quotient strategy. So I'm going to share my screen with you, okay, Israel?
Okay.
And we just started this problem. And you can just watch on this one, okay? I want you and Jaden just to watch as I model this problem for you. So it's 763 divided by 5. And we know that in our division problem, our first number is called our dividend. Our second number is called our divisor. And our third, which would be our answer, would be called the quotient. Just want to make sure you know those vocabulary words. And over to the right, and so I went ahead and put our division symbol and put the 763 inside the division symbol, the 5 on the outside, and our quotient we don't know yet, and that's our answer. So in our partial quotient strategy, we do all of our work to the right of our division symbol. This is where we do our multiplication. So we've already figured out, Israel, that I cannot make 1,000 groups of 5 because it's too much. But we figured that we could make 100 groups of 5. So 5 times 100 equals 500. And that's where we kind of left off, Jaden. So now we're going to subtract, okay? So if I subtract 763, subtract 500, I should have 263 left over, okay? 263 left over, all right? So can I make another, excuse me, can I make another 100 groups of 5?
No.
Why not?
Because it's too big.
It's too big. So I'm going to cross out that 100. So how about groups of 10? What would 5 times 10 be?
50.
So is 50 close to 263?
No.
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 So think about multiples of 10. What multiple of 10 could I multiply 5 by? You get me close to 263. And I'm just going to write some multiples of 10 down and see which one would work the best.
Five times 40.
Okay, let's do, what's 5 times 40?
200.
Okay, and we knew that 5 times 4 is 20, right? And it's, since it's a 10, we add a 0 on the bottom. So it's 5, so it's 200. So I can subtract 200. All right, and how much is left over?
63.
63. Can I multiply by another group of 10?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Jaden, 5 times 10 is how much?
50.
50. Okay. So how much left over?
13.
All right, can I make any more groups of 5?
Yes. Yes.
All right, how many?
5 times 2.
And how much is 5 times 2?
10.
All right, and I have 3 left over. All right, now this is where something different than we had last week. Can I make any more groups of 5 with the number 3?
No.
No, it's too small. So remember, we have to put a little rectangle around all of our groups, and we have to add that up because this is going to be our quotient. So how much is 100, 40, 10, and 2 equal?
152.
152, and that goes above. You notice how I'm making sure that I put my digits in the proper place value? My hundreds go above my 7, my 10s go above my 6, and my 1s go above my 3. Now I have this little number down here. Okay, we call that a remainder. A remainder. Okay, that means that I cannot make any more equal groups of 5 with the number 3. So we represent the remainder by the letter R and then the number. So that would be, so our answer would be 152 with a remainder of 3. Does anybody remember how we can check our answer to see if it's right? Remember we did it last week? Okay, what was that? What did you say?
I said do like a number and like to see if it's a number, times it.
Times it, okay? So we can times or multiply our quotient times our divisor. All right. And we really didn't learn the standard algorithm, but we do know how to set up the area model, don't we? So 5 would be over here. What's the value of the 1?
100.
What's the value of the 5?
50. 50.
And then the value of the 2.
2.
Okay. So in this rectangle, we have 100 times 5. In this rectangle, we have 50 times 5. And this one would be 2 times 5. All right. So 100 times 5 equals how much?
500.
500. And 50 times 5 equals how much? What's 5 times 5?
25.
Okay, so I have 5 tens. So 5 tens times 5 equals 25 tens, and 25 tens actually equals 250, right? So we have that 0 on the end. And what's 2 times 5?
10.
Okay, so we have to add those together. So we have 500, 250, and 10. All right, so how much does that equal? How many ones?
0.
Tens?
6.
And hundreds.
7.
Okay, now this is where that remainder comes in. I have to add that remainder. And if I add 3 to that number, what does that give me?
763.
Is that the number that we started with?
Yep.
Yes. So that means that this checked, that answer is 152 with a remainder of 3. Okay? All right, so that's our first problem. Okay? Now let's do another problem. Let's do 698 divided by 9. Okay, for the lack of time, since seeing that we're already at almost 9:30, I'm going to go ahead and have you write this problem in your notebook or on a piece of paper, okay? So we can do this together. So it's 698 divided by 9. Okay, which number is our dividend? Anybody know which number is our dividend?
698.
698. Which number is our divisor?
9.
And do we know our quotient?
No.
Not yet, do we? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make our division symbol. And we're gonna do 698 inside and 9 on the outside. And do my line that goes all the way down. All right. And on top, I'm going to be multiplied by 10, multiplied by 100, multiplied by 1,000. Okay. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, we ready?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Let's try with 1,000. Can I multiply 9 times 1,000?
No.
Too big, isn't it?
Yes.
How about 9 times 100? What does that equal?
900.
Can I subtract 900 from 698?
No.
Why not?
Because it's too big.
Too big. All right, so now I have to have a multiple of 10, it looks like. So how much is 9 times 10?
90.
90. Is 90 close to 698?
No.
All right. So let's think about our multiples of 10. Think about what multiple of 10 can I multiply 9 by that would get me at least a little closer to 698.
Nine times 70.
Okay. So what would 9 times 7 equal?
63.
63. And then we add a 0 with 9 times 70. All right, so that would work. So 9 times 70 equals, so we subtract 630, right? Okay, you got that, Jaden?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and subtract that and see what you have left over.
68.
68. Okay. Can I make any more groups of 10?
No.
No. So now I have to think, all right, so now I just get rid of my zeros here. And I think, what can I multiply 6 by to get me close to 68?
Nine times 7.
Jaden, will 9 times 7 work? We already know that 9 times 7 is 63. Can I take away 63 from 68?
No. Oh, yes,
No?
yes.
Yes, I can. So 9 times 7. Okay. And how much is left over?
5.
Can I make any more groups of 9?
No.
All right, so I'm going to put my answers here in a rectangle. And I have 70 plus 7 equals what?
77.
77 goes on top. All right, and what do we call the number 5?
A remaining?
A remainder, okay?
Oh.
And we have a remainder of 5. All right, so now we want to multiply. What do we multiply to check our answer? What 2 numbers can I multiply to check my answer?
77.
77 times what?
9.
9. Okay. Let's try the partial product. Remember partial product? Have you guys tried partial product? Let's try that strategy because we did that when we did multiplication. All right, so remember we multiply our 9 times our 7, and then we multiply our 9 times our 70. So what's 9 times 7 again?
63.
63. And I'm going to cross that 7 out. Now I have 9 times 70. How much is 9 times 70?
630.
630. And you notice how I'm keeping my digits in the proper place value. And now I can add them together. What do I get if I add those 2 numbers together?
693.
Is that my final answer?
No, now you have to add the remainder.
Okay. And if I add my 5, what do I get?
Eight.
Should get 698, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I started with?
Yep.
I checked my answer then is correct. So it's 77 with a remainder of 5. All right, so So today we introduced remainders in our problem, but we also divided a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number, okay? And I know our learning target was to do both 3-digit and 4-digit, but I think I'm going to save the 4-digit, and I'm going to send a video to you. It's basically the same way. Actually, we have time. We're going to go over the 4-digit one. Let's go ahead. We have time to add one more. All right. So on this problem, let's do 4,325 divided by 5. 4,325 divided by 5. So now we have a 4-digit number divided by a 1-digit number. So go ahead and write this in your notes. And then we're going to use our division symbol. The 5 goes on the outside. The 4,325 goes on the inside. And we're all ready to start our multiplication. So even though it's a division problem, we still use multiplication to help us solve the division problem, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so up on top, I'm going to say multiply by 10, multiply by 100, multiply by 1,000. And again, I put this here just as a guide to kind of help us with how many groups that we're multiplying by. All right, Jaden and Israel, are you ready to go on?
Yes.
Okay. Can I multiply 5 times 1,000? What do I get?
No.
Why?
It's too big.
Too big. I get 5,000, and I can't take 5,000 from 4,325, can I? How about 100?
Yes.
How much is 5 times 100?
500.
500. Is 500 close to 4,325?
No.
No. So again, I'm going to put my multiples of 10. Why do you think I do this? Why do you think I put my multiples of 10 there? Just it kind of helps me figure them out, because sometimes when I'm doing mental math in my head, and sometimes I might get stuck on one of these multiples. So now I have them in front of me, and I said, well, okay, now I can actually look and see where I want to multiply. And it's kind of like a dartboard. Have you guys ever played darts? Probably not. But if you've ever played on a dartboard, it has a big circle, and you just start throwing on the board, and you try to get that perfect throw in the middle of the circle. Okay? This one right here, you want to get that perfect shot around there. Okay, they usually have circles that go around, and you want to get that perfect, so you just start throwing darts. So in this case, sometimes you're just trying to guess on some of these numbers, okay, by using mental math. So which multiple of 10 can I use to multiply 5? Okay, I'm going to stop you. A good strategy would be to just try in the middle. Okay, you see all these numbers? Sometimes going to each one of these individually might be a little tough. So you go to the middle one and you say, can I multiply 5 times 50? And how much is 5 times 50?
$25,000.
And actually, these are 100. Okay, so 5 times 50, okay, or 5 times 500, okay, it's actually hundreds. I'm sorry, I added zeros over there, so at least you'll know a little bit better. Okay, so this is actually hundreds, not tens. So in this case, it's 500. So how much is 5 times 5?
25.
And then how many zeros do you have?
2.
2 zeros. So 2,500. So could I do 500? Could I subtract 2,500 from 4,325? Yes?
Yes.
No? Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
500.
Okay. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 5 is, can I do 3 minus 5? Can I do 3 minus 5?
Yes.
I can? If I have three, okay, I have to regroup, don't I? So 13 minus 5 is what? What's 13 minus 5?
8.
And 3 minus 2?
1.
So I have 1,825 left over that I want to try to group together. All right. Can I do another group of 500?
Yes. No.
No, it's too big. So it has to be smaller. So what group of 100 would be smaller that I could use?
Five times 200.
Okay. 5 times 200 is how much?
1,000.
1,000. So let's take away 1,000. And how much is left over?
825.
All righty. Can I do any other hundreds?
5 times 100.
Is how much?
500.
All right. And what's left over?
$325.
Good. Can I do another group of 100?
No.
No. So now I'm into tens. Group trying to get multiples of 10. So 5 times 10 would be how much?
50.
So I can probably get a little bigger number than 10, can't I?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if I get rid of those zeros, now I have multiples of 10. Well, I already have 550 circled. So what's 5 times 50?
25.
And add the 0?
2,500. 250.
250. So let's take 250 away. And that's 5, and I have to regroup. And that should be 75 left over. Can I make another group of a multiple of 10 or 10?
Hmm. 5 times 10.
5 times 10 is how much?
50.
Okay, and let's subtract. You have 25 left over. Can you multiply by any more groups of 10?
No.
Okay, what number times 5 equals 25?
5 times 5.
5 times 5 equals 25, and we have no remainder on this one. Okay, no remainder. So now we want to add up all of our answers. These are all part of our quotient. That's what we call it partial quotient, because each one of those we're going to add together. So 500 plus 200 plus 100 is how much?
$765.
Okay. So you just went ahead and you added by each place value, which is good. We could also do mental math. Okay, and I could say 500 plus 200 plus 100 is 800. 50 plus 10 is 60, so that's 860, and then 5 would be 865. So 865, okay? And if we go ahead and do 865 times 5, and we're going to do our partial products. So 5 times 5 is 25, right?
Yep.
5 times 6 is actually 60, is 300. And 5 times 8, which is actually 800, is 4,000. And we can add those three numbers together, and I should get 4,325, and that answer checks out. Okay. All right. So you have a couple examples. Now, on the work that you have for 0603, okay, this says use long division to solve these problems. You're not going to use long division. You're going to use the partial quotient strategy, okay? And you're going to do the same thing that we did in practice, okay? The same thing. Now, these numbers, I think we even did part of this on Friday, didn't we? Y'all remember that? Okay, so we actually did a couple of these examples. You're going to do these same things for that. And on assignment 0604, again, it says use the long division to solve. We're going to use the partial quotient strategy. If you find that you don't have enough room on this, please do it. You can either do it on the back of this, or you can do it on a piece of loose leaf paper. But one thing is that when you're completing this, do not just put an answer there and turn that in. If you do your work on another piece of paper, you want to make sure that you upload that scratch paper, okay? Because I've got to see how you're doing your work. Because then if I see that you made a mistake, I need to see where you made your mistake at. What process did you do that? Plus, I want to make sure that you're doing it by yourself. Okay, you can get help by somebody else, but again, I want you to actually write and do the work. All right, any questions on what we went over today? Again, the learning target was that I can divide a 3-digit and 4-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor. And in some cases I had a remainder, and in some cases I didn't. Okay. Did you guys have any questions? Yes.
Today is my birthday.
Oh my goodness, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Israel. Jaden, you want to sing to him? Should we sing to him?
Yes.
Okay, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Israel. Happy birthday to you. Yay, good job. Are you going to have a little celebration today?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. How old are you?
10.
10 years old. Oh my goodness, you made it into 2 digits now. 2 digits. Jaden, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 9.
So when's your birthday?
In July 19th.
July, okay. So you got a ways to catch up, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, good. All right, you ready for me to read? The one and only Ivan?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop this recording. Well, we might not be able to do that, so I'm just going to go and continue. Okay, so y'all can just relax. You can mute your mics and you can blacken out your screens and put your feet up as I read this wonderful book that I love, The One and Only Ivan. All right, The Promise. My domain gleams with moonlight when I awake to the sound of Stella's calls. Ivan, Stella says in a hoarse whisper. Ivan. I'm here, Stella. I sit up abruptly and Bob topples off my stomach. I run to a window. I can see Ruby next to Stella, sleeping soundly. Ivan, I want you to promise me something, Stella says. Anything, I say. I've never asked for a promise before, because promises are forever, and forever is an unusually long time, especially when you're in a cage. Domain, I corrected. Domain, she agrees. I straighten to my full height. I promise, Stella, I say in a voice like my father's. But you haven't even heard what I'm asking yet, she says, and she closes her eyes for a moment. Her great chest shudders. I promise anyway. Stella doesn't say anything for a long time. Never mind, she finally says. I don't know what I was thinking. The pain is making me ad-lib. Ruby stirs, her trunk moves, as if she is reaching for something that isn't there. When I say the words, they surprise me. You want me to take care of Ruby? Stella nods, a small gesture that makes her wince. If she could have a life that's different from mine. She needs a safe place, Ivan. Not here, I say. It would be easier to promise to stop eating, to stop breathing, to stop being a gorilla. I promise, Stella, I say. I promise it on my word as a silverback. Knowing. Before Mac, before Bob, even before Ruby, I know that Stella is gone. I know it the way you know that summer is over and winter is on its way. I just know. Stella once teased me that elephants are superior because they feel more joy and more grief than apes. Your gorilla hearts are made of ice, Ivan, she said, her eyes glittering. Ours are made of fire. Right now, I would give all the yogurt raisins in all of the world for a heart made of ice. 5 men. Bob heard from a rat, a reliable source, that they tossed Stella's body into a garbage truck. It took 5 men and a forklift. Comfort. All day, I try to comfort Ruby. But what can I say? That Stella had a good and happy life? That she lived and she was meant to live? That she died with those who loved her most nearby? At least the last is true. Crying. Julia cries all evening, while her father sweeps and mops and dusts and cleans the toilets. When George sees Mark, he runs to him. I can only hear a few of his words. Vet, should have, and wrong. Matt shrugs, his shoulders droop. He leaves without a word. When George wipes the fingerprints off my glass, his cheeks are wet. He doesn't meet my eyes. The one and only Ivan. When all the humans have left, I sent Bob to check on Ruby. How is she? I ask when he returns. She was shivering, Bob says. I tried to cover her with hay, and I told her not to worry because you were going to save her. I glare at him. You told her that? You promised Stella, Bob lowers his head. I wanted to make the kid feel better. I shouldn't have made that promise, Bob. I just wanted, I point to Stella's domain, and for a moment it seems like I've forgotten how to breathe. I wanted to make Stella happy, I guess, but I can't save Ruby. I can't even save myself. I flop onto my back. The cement is always cold, but tonight it hurts. Bob leaps onto my belly. You are the one and only Ivan, he says, mighty silverback. He licks my chin, and he's not even checking for leftovers. Say it, Bob commands. I look away. Say it, Ivan. I don't answer, so Bob licks my nose until I can't stand it any longer. I am the one and only Ivan, I muttered. And don't you ever forget it, he says. When I gaze at the food court skylight, the moon Stella loved is shrouded in clouds. That's a picture of the moon and the clouds. Once upon a time, all night Ruby moans and sniffles. I pace my domain. I don't want to fall asleep in case she needs something. Ivan, Bob says gently, get some sleep, please, for your sake and for mine. Bob can't sleep unless he is on my stomach. I hear a stirring. Ivan, Ruby calls. I rush to my window. Ruby, are you all right? I miss Aunt Stella, Ruby sobs, and I miss my mom and my sister and my aunts and my cousins too. I know, I say, because it's all I can think of. Ruby sniffles. I can't sleep. Do you know any stories the way Aunt Stella did? Not really, I admit. Stories were Stella's specialty. Tell me a story about when you were little, Ruby pleads. She puts her trunk between the bars. Please, Ivan. I scratch the back of my head. I don't remember things, Ruby. I admit. It's true, Bob says, trying to be helpful. Ivan has a terrible memory. He's the opposite of an elephant. Ruby lets out a long, shivery breath. Oh, well, that's okay. Night, Ivan and Bob. I listen to Ruby's soft sobs for long, horrible minutes. Then I hear myself saying, once upon a time, there was a gorilla named Ivan. And slowly and deliberately, I try to remember. The grunt. I was born in a place humans call Central Africa, in a dense rainforest so beautiful, no crayons could ever do it justice. Gorillas don't name their newborns right away, the way humans do. We get to know our babies first. We wait to see hints of what might yet be. When they saw how much she loved to chase me around the forest, my parents decided on my twin sister's name, Tag. Oh, how I loved to play tag with my sister. She was nimble, but when I got too close, she would leap onto my unsuspecting father. Then I would join her, and we would bounce on that tolerant belly until he gave us the grunt, the rooting pig sound that meant enough. That game never got old, although my father might have disagreed. Mud. It didn't take long for my parents to find my name. All day long, every day, I made pictures. I drew on rocks and bark and my poor mother's back. I used the sap from leaves. I used the juice from fruit, but mostly I used mud. And that is why they called me Mud. To a human, mud might not sound like much, but to me, it was everything. Protector. My family, which humans call a troop, was just like any other gorilla family. There were 10 of us. My father, the silverback, my mother, and 3 other adult females. A juvenile male called Blackback, and 2 other young gorillas. Tag and I were the babies of the group. We squabbled now and then, as families will, but my father knew how to keep us in line with a simple scowl. And for the most part, we were happy to do what we were meant to do, to feed and forage and nap and play. My father was a master at leading us to the ripest fruit for our morning feast and the finest branches for our night nests. He was everything a silverback is meant to be, a guide, a teacher, a protector. And nobody could chest beat like my father. A perfect life. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different, except that a gorilla gets to spend the day riding on his mother's back, like a cowboy on a horse. It's a pretty great system from the baby's point of view. Slowly, carefully, a young gorilla begins to venture farther and farther away from the safety of his mother's arms. He learns the skills he will need as an adult: how to make a nest of branches, weave them tightly, or they will fall apart in the middle of the night; how to beat your chest, cup your palms to amplify the sound; how to go vining from tree to tree, don't let go; and how to be kind, be strong, and be loyal. Growing up gorilla is just like other kinds of growing up. You make mistakes, you play, you learn, you do it all over again. It was, for a while, a perfect life. The end. One day, a still day, when the hot air hummed, the humans came. All right, I'm going to stop there. Okay, Israel and Jaden, come on back. That was a little sad part of the story when we found out that Stella didn't make it, did she?
No.
No. Israel, are you there?
Yes.
All right, can you show your face? Okay, so again, you guys know your assignments that you have to complete for the week. We will meet again on Friday at 10 o'clock. If there's anything that you need help with, just reach out to me. You can send me an email yourself, or you can just tell your parents that they can send me a Remind app. Okay, if you need additional help with your problems, again, just try to look at your notes first. And if you need me to schedule a Zoom meeting with you, I can do that as well. But see if you can work on those assignments if you haven't completed those assignments that we just went over today, okay? And Israel, have a great birthday.
Okay.
All right. All right, we'll see y'all on Friday if I don't hear from you. All right, bye, Jaden. Bye, Israel.
Bye.